I remember also Sheyi Makinde, when he came into government, he talked about some of the kickbacks some of these contractors have to give to get certain contracts. According to him, I'm quoting him, I'm not quoting myself. He said even the governor and his wife have a certain percentage. Certain other people in government have a certain percentage. So at the end of the day, probably
now he has a percentage. That's what he's saying.
Not him. What he meant on ground.
The governor and the wife.
He said the former governor.
Oh,
he specifically
exonerated himself.
Yes.
Okay.
He said this is what
we have not spoken to the 300 and the 500 million. Between all right. So see, you see, what I'm saying, Olumide, let's be very honest here. The point I'm making is simple. Who is going to do the naming and shaming? That's the question.
The guilty or the
so because these things are done intentionally.
This is business landscape. Now, according to data from the Budget It Tracker platform, the finding exposed serious weaknesses in project execution, project monitoring, and project post-disbursement oversight that are often obscured, and headline capital budget performance figures released by the government is showing this. Now, tracker data show that 97.5% of abandoned federal projects nationwide are located in 1. Taraba, 2. Abia, 3. Nasarawa, 4. Adamawa, and Ogun states. In monetary terms, these projects account for 7.8 billion out of 8 billion linked to abandoned projects where funds had already been fully released to contractors. This suggests that funding gaps are not the primary cause of abandonment. Now, Budget It is saying that pattern points to systemic failure in supervision, accountability, and sanctions for non-performance. Analysts are also warning that without stronger enforcement, transparency, and contractor accountability, increased capital allocation may continue to deliver poor development outcomes. Okay. Now, we've talked about on this table where a lot of contracts that were signed, contractors were not paid. And on this same table, contractors went on a particular demonstration in Abuja some months back, last month to be precise. But now we are also seeing where government has fully funded contracts, jobs, infrastructure projects, capital projects. And in these 5 major states, there is nothing to show for it. Dear Doc, who is EFCC following as we speak?
Well, EFCC will not be able to follow anybody. And this is a fact of our lives. I have said this the often time. Elections in Nigeria are crazily too expensive.
Okay.
And they gather a lot of stakeholders who are investing their hard-earned money to win victory at the polls. In one of the states, although they are not even here now, I learned a particular man for their gubernatorial election put money up to about 6 billion into that context. His private jet was on the ground for every movement of the aspirant. I don't think that's a charity.
That's the investment you talked about.
Yes, that's investment. Now, if he has put down so much money to ensure the victory of a chief executive, so how do you think the chief executive is going to pay him back? To be able to recoup what was invested. A lot of people don't understand that. I remember in one of the Southwest in 2003, when the election was on, and then the president was desperate to win every state in the Southwest. He approached one of his old time friend who was in an opposition party and told him, I said, I want to, why people in the North are supporting me? Why was Southwest people support me? And the man said, well, I've sold 2 of my houses in London for this election. If I don't win, I'm finished. You see, we must have honest conversation.
Okay.
As a people. We cannot be blind to the things that are happening around us, eating our cake, and then also wanting to have it. Where are all this money going to that is pumped into this election? Who are these people receiving this money? Can society begin to say, let's applaud some people so that elections can be done based on ideals, not on how much money you can pass around? Because the society determines the kind of leaders that we find. So if people support you to win, the only way to do that is to find a way to get a job for them, whether it's done or not, so that they can have a legitimate means to move money out of the coffers. That's what's happening, and that's what is real. So the society has more of the blame, as far as I'm concerned.
The society has
More of the blame. So we must begin to see that every election cycle, that we reject money.
But how can they reject money when you also said, if you remember the first story we talked about, the poverty rate is way, way high?
No. There are two different things.
Okay.
See, people who are morally depraved, it's not poverty that makes them to take money. It's just because, as a matter of fact, those who take money on behalf of the people, they actually take money on behalf of the poor.
Okay, they take money on
behalf of the poor. So what you see here is that it is not the poor per se that actually take this money. Some go to the traditional rulers that never come out. There are some
that don't vote.
Influencer political heads around who take this money in bulk in the name of their people. And maybe on election day, they are sending a recharge card to their people. Some are giving 5,000. Now you have received 500 million. Then you are giving,
the community.
Maybe at the end of the day, you are able to share 100,000, 200,000, and then of course you would have done it. Why do you see that after election, people always say, return the money I gave to you? We have had those stories, but we don't pay attention to them. I heard that in Kaduna recently. I said, look, all the money, please refund my money. Because you didn't use it to work. So
the investment did not deliver.
Yes, it didn't deliver results because that money got stuck in the hand of one man who is positioning himself or herself as a major influence in that environment. So the money is actually not going to the hand of the poor. It's actually going to the hand of the rich. So we need to be able to fish out these people. And in other words, it is like what they call the revolution of the proletariat. It should be the revolution of the poor. To say we will not take money from anybody. So let the man and his family go and vote and they will lose. So once we get to that level and society is well enlightened, that even the ordinary man who is poor on the street, who didn't get this benefit, understand that somebody is using him to make money. And he will say, from today, my head will not be used to make money. We are going to exercise our right. And then you will find that these things will go away. Then we can begin to hold politicians accountable. But as we are today, the political process is so dysfunctional that we don't even have party system. Leaders are appointed, executive, legislators, councillors, they are all anointed. They don't go through the process. The person doing the anointing is collecting the money. So this is where we are, and this is what we need to stop. And society must rise up and fight against this thing. And so when people are genuinely elected into office, and we see them do this kind of a thing, it's just 4 years. It's like a case of every day for the thief, one day for the owner. So when at the end of 4 years we can't see result, we remove him and put somebody else. So I think this is what we need to do to actually change the system, because society as it is now is so docile and it's also so compromised that is even fanning the embers of these abandoned projects that you see everywhere. I remember some years ago when a certain project was highlighted like this, and EFCC was even actually on it. They took camera to the place and they went to the site. I think it was somewhere in Bayelsa. It was what I saw on television that day. It was just bush. There was actually nothing, but that was a project site. So these are things that happen, and we all know that they are happening. But why are they happening is a question that we need to deal with, because society has allowed politicians to go away with enough things that when we start to make our vote count and defend same votes,
they won't happen.
They will not happen.
Okay. Olumide, some years back, some long time ago, there was a strike in the school I went to, the federal government school. And 9 o'clock news, I was watching 9 o'clock news with family. And they said there was this very, very big government library that was being constructed, like the biggest in the entire region. I knew we left that library abandoned. But they said they've commissioned on 9 o'clock news. So calls, I know people now started asking questions. And we get to see this happen a lot of times in government circles. You hear projects have been commissioned, projects have been finished, and we only wake up to see that they were not even done.
Nigeria Airways.
Okay.
Now, I remember when Rotimi Amechi was interviewed, he made, well, maybe allegations. He said a particular person collected money to build an airport and nothing happened. So, but I think, first of all, we need to start naming and shaming some of these contractors. We need to start. It's got to this level as a result of lack of transparency. So we need to be more transparent. When these allocations, when these monies are being paid, publish it. If a contractor fails, put his name on, blacklist him, so that people will know that this particular, of course, when we see, there are certain constructions that you see signposts, you say this is being constructed by this. Let's have those signboards in these constructions, in this project. This particular project is being awarded to so company, so that when we see bushes and we see the name there, we know that, okay, this is the person that is responsible for this bush. I remember also Seyi Makinde, when he came into government, he talked about some of the kickbacks some of these contractors have to give to get certain contracts. According to him, I'm quoting him, I'm not quoting myself. He said even the governor and his wife have a certain percentage. Certain other people in government have a certain percentage. So at the end of the day, probably...
No, he has a percentage. That's what he's saying.
Not him. What he met on ground.
The governor and the wife
he said the former governor.
Oh,
he specifically
exonerated himself.
Yes.
Okay.
He said this is what
we have not spoken to the 300 and the 500 million. Between all right. So see, you see, what I'm saying, Olumide, let's be very honest here. The point I'm making is simple. Who is going to do the naming and shaming? That's the question.
The guilty or the
so because these things are done intentionally, using the paraphernalia of the office which you occupy
to siphon off.
It's not a mistake.
Okay.
It's deliberate. That's what I'm saying. So if I am offering you something, I will come and name you and shame you. It's not possible.
Then again, let's look at it this way. As an election candidate, you know people are sponsoring you. Of course, you know they're going to get something in return. So why accept money from them?
Okay.
Do you remember that in this same country, a certain political party that boasted that they were going to be in power for 63 or 66 years said that even if they feed a goat in election, it will win?
That is history now. Okay, now...
Are you sure it's history?
Yes, it's history.